Welcome everyone, I'm Jason and welcome to the channel, and this is my 2024 Nissan Frontier. And the reason for this whole entire video, as you saw by the title, is I have the Elevate truck rack system that I added to the bed of the truck. Now this system is really unique. I already had the BAK Revolver, that's the roll-up top, and I'll show you how it functions with this. And when I bought this top, this T-rail channel was an optional piece for it. You can get it with and without. It costs a little bit more with it, but that gave me the option here to add this specific rack. There's also Rhino makes a rack that fits into these T channels that it's only, about 6 inches above this roll-up top, and it has a really cool quick connect on it, so you could still roll it up. But as you can see, I have this set up and installed right now at its medium height. So you've made it this far, so check out the whole video. I'll show you the process of installing it, some of the hurdles I went through. I'll show you all the top height, the middle height that it's at now, and a low height. And I have a bar running across the top to show you the clearance over the top of the roof as well. And that will help a lot with people decide if this rack system works for them. And then I also added these Thule foam Velcro pads on for the load that I usually put on here. That's going to work really great to help me strap it down. And what's really neat about the system is once you put something on top of this rack, it does have this built into it here, and that's where you can put your cleat, your hook, and your loop. And so you can go up and over and back down and tighten them with like ratchet straps or whatever type of load. Obviously I would use ratchet straps. So yeah, let me set this up really quick on the tripod, and I'll show you how the roll-up cover works. All right, so, if you already have this BAK Revolver roll-up top on, let me show you how it works. Now, as you can see, it clears the whole entire rack system. Now, there is a little stipulation. I did notice that, I tried to spread these as far apart as I could, but it is actually making the way that the roller top snaps into the sides a little more not easy, but it's not hard. It's just something you got to consider. I can understand what's happening, the forces at work here. But I made sure nothing changed, but see, that's a little high right there. And sorry about that motorcycle, until I got that snapped down by hand. And see, it's a little high over there. So let me go push that down. So it's not working quite as smooth as it did when I first had it installed before I put the rack on. I made sure everything's tightened, nothing moved. It's just what's going to happen sometimes. So I really like the system so far. I got to get driving some down the road. So watch the rest of the video. I really appreciate you. And right now, you might as well hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. So watch the rest of the video. Oh, I thought of one more thing before I really get into the install, but I thought I'd just do a walk around and show you what it looks like on the truck. Now, I ordered it from E-Trailer, which is also part of Real Truck, and they do their own branding on there, and I'm going to take that off. This is not a sponsored video by any means. I had to pay full price for the rack. There it is from behind, and there it is from the... So it looks really sharp on there. It's going to allow me to carry some really long loads over the roof of the truck. All right, thanks for making it this far in the video now that you saw the introduction. So this is the long box that this thing came in. I got it from E-Trailer. And what I was talking about, how this is going to be installed and how it's going to be installed. But let's get it laid out on the bed cover, and I'll show you what we're dealing with here. All right, I got it all unpacked here out of the box. Arrived in pretty good shape. So as you can see, we got 4 uprights, and we have 8 of these longer T-channel, the bolts, and then 16 of these shorter ones. All the nuts came with some Allen wrenches if you want to use the tools supplied, some end caps. Here's the rails, side view of these rails opened up. And as you can see, you know, with the BAK Revolver that rolls up, it also, I got the one with the T-slots on it here, and I've already loosened this. So we're going to take these out, and then these bolts will slide down in there to mount each one of these down, and then the other ones will be used for putting the crossbars on. So it's a pretty simple process, and you know, stay tuned to the rest of the video. I'll also show you the different heights. I'll load up like a 2x4 to show you how far it goes above the roof and everything. All right, so now let's really take a look at some of these parts. So since I have these T channels built into my BAK Revolver, you take off this little end cap, and that's just this little plastic piece, and you're going to take these and you're going to slide them down, two for each one, so 4 down each side. And it came with some long ones, and I think those get used if you have like a flush mount where it's deeper in there, so that the bolts stick up higher, because these come with really nice little, like those little nut caps, which are really nice. Oh, there goes an Allen thing. So now the next thing is, it comes with 8 of these little plastic things here, and this one has a recessed edge, and these are flush. Now I think I'm not going to use these on the Nissan Frontier. They kind of snap up inside here. So depending on your application of if your rails are flush or not. But as you can see, this fits really nice over this, and then the bolts stick through. So I did a real quick, I slid 4 down, and I have that sticking up, and I put those on, and I just barely tightened them. And let's see, I'm using a 13 millimeter socket on this, and the reason you don't want them tight is you want to be able to slide them and position them where you want them at on the truck. And then as you're doing the top rails, it wants a little flexibility in the top as you're sliding them across before they get put in. So really simple to do. I'm going to slide this little cap back in. This piece is plastic, so you don't need to like tighten it really tight. Just give it a nice little hand tighten, a couple pounds, and it'll stay in there. Not that these would slide out, but that just makes this cap look nicer. So I'm going to get these 4 uprights in, and then I'll show you the cross parts. All right, now everything is just kind of loosely put in here. As you can see, the bar slides around. Here it is before I put the washer and the nut on. As you can see, it just sticks out just enough so it'll get tight, yet it'll be nice and clean looking. And like I said, I still have end caps for this, which are those black plastic things right here, and I think they're held on with these little Allen wrench set screws type thing. So now for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and get it left to right, because it's a little hanging over there and not enough here. So I'm going to do all those things now and get them tightened up and squared up. And then I'm also going to decide on the distance on this from, you want them spread apart as far as possible to distribute the weight. So I'm going to go back a little bit here, and I'm probably going to leave it about there. I'm going to roll up the top and see how that looks also with the top rolled up. Let me get those tightened up, and then I will show you the next step. All right, so I wanted to kind of give a back shot here. As you can see, I have them pretty vertical. I mean, as vertical as I can get them. And like I was saying, there's just going to be like a little bit of leftover at the top. Now, I ran into my first kind of weirdness. The little end caps that slide on are actually hitting the little T-slot part, so I can't get them in all the way. So I got it on this side with one set screw in the top. So what I'm just basically doing is I'm just taking my cutters, and on the bottom right here, I'm just cutting this right here, and that lets this set flush, to make the ends look better. I'm not sure if it's a kind of like a universal crossbar. I mean, I bought this for the Nissan Frontier, so I'm assuming it's the right. They come in one length, multiple lengths, depending if you have a full-size truck. But I tried like making the bars not vertical, and then they just weren't sitting very flush up here, because you do want them vertical because everything needs to be perpendicular here to work better. So cutting, that's no big deal. It's just one set screw, like one of those little tiny little set screws, you know, in the black cap here. So it's real easy. It's no big deal. Let me get those on the rest of the way. All right, so now I've climbed up here. It came with this rubber molding that fits down inside the groove, and you just press it in, and then when it's all said and done, this is what it looks like. It just gives you a little something rubber up there to rest stuff on. I mean, these are going to get all scratched up from anything you put up here, but they are black powder coated. And then it's also like a wind thing to help with the whistle going over the top of this. It might help it a little bit. It did on some of my other racks I put on before. So get that squeezed in here the rest of the way. All right, so like I was saying at the end of the video here, I was going to show you the different heights. This is its maximum height. This is considered the 24-inch clearance. And let me show you what they're talking about by that. Basically from the top of the bed to underneath, that lowest point where the bolts are is about 24 inches. So if you did have something in the bed of the truck, you still have quite a bit of room. In the Nissan Frontier, from the highest rib on the bed of the truck, it's about 44 inches. And you know, the bed of the truck's about 4 foot wide. So that's at its highest load capacity. If you had it up there, you know, with 2x4s, a big piece of plywood or anything like that. Let me show you the distance between them right now. I have it at about 3.5 foot. So I spaced them evenly front to back. And then I'll show you how far it is above the roof line. If you ignore the black antenna, which you can't ignore, of course, it's about 6 inches of clearance. So that's probably the height you'd have to be at if you wanted to load a full load on top of there. You know, a couple sheets of plywood, 2x4s, whatever you're carrying that's length is long. You could extend these out just a little further apart to help that load, but you know, that's not too bad if you center it, some sticking out the back, some over the truck cab there. So as you can see, they have these holes right here. And each set of these holes is about 4 inches lower. So I'm actually gonna take the time and I'm gonna lower it down 4 inches right now. And it's 8 bolts altogether, and I'll show you where that ends up at, you know, and how that looks over the truck. And then I'll step back also in this video. I'll just do that right now so you can kind of see the overall look here, you know, on the truck of how tall it is at its highest point. Now that's where I'm going to probably be leaving it at, because I do have a load that I want to go over the roof of the truck that's 8 foot long, and I don't think if I go down 4 inches, I don't think it'll clear the antenna like I want. So that's that look. Now let me take it down one notch. All right, so I've gone down, like I said, I'm on the medium setting, and it just misses the antenna. And you know, things are gonna flex and bounce a little bit no matter what you have up there. So that would be probably a little too close to be comfortable. But as you can see, here's a side shot. That looks really good on the truck at that height. Of course, you know, for aerodynamics, you know, the more inline you can get with the roof of the truck, the better. So, you know, if you're carrying something long, let's say 8 foot long, and you do want it to go over the roof a little bit, you know, let me show you where 8 inches falls, and I'll put a bend in the tape measure. And then I'll also show you where the height at this next setting down is. So this height is 41 inches. And let me show you what an 8 foot load would look like if you wanted to get in front of that antenna. So you got 8 foot all the way back here. Now that would be pretty far hanging your load very uneven. So I wouldn't do that. With these bars almost 4 foot apart, you know, I'd put 2 foot in front of it and 2 foot behind it, so you're going to end up going over the roof. That's just the way to bounce the load better. But You know, I do have some padding that I put on my crossbars that I had, it velcros around them. It's made by Thule. It's what I use to rest the kayak on, and I'm gonna probably put it on these for most loads I carry. So I can go left or right of the antenna, and with that it would still be above it in a safe distance, I think, for the flexing for me. And then it looks nicer at this height. But let's go down one more and I'll show you what that looks like from the truck. All right, there it is on its lowest setting, and as you can see, the pole's going right into that. Now, I think that if I'm traveling cross country and I have a shorter load, let's say a 6-foot load, for me, that's what I use for displays, is 6-foot grid and 8-foot grid. I think I would leave it at the slowest setting, put it close to the cab that's safe, and have it extend off the back, you know, about 2.5 foot. I think that would be fine. Because the lower it is, you want that aerodynamics to go right over the top of the truck. But let me step back and show you how good that looks on its lowest setting. Now, it's real easy to do. I did this all by myself, lowering it. We're about 36 inches from the highest rib in the bed to the bottom of the rack. So, you know, that for me, when I'm traveling, if I'm not carrying anything, I'm going to get this thing down the lowest setting possible so that everything clears. So I'm going to put those pads on real quick that I have, and I'm going to see what that looks like on this lowest setting. All right, so these are those Thule pads that I have. And on the lowest setting, for this truck, it's just too close to the roof. It doesn't clear it. But like I said, with like a 6-foot load, that would be very reasonable. But with an 8-foot load, you want it over the roof of the truck. That's too close. So I am going to go up to the medium setting and pretty much leave it there most of the time. If I have like a really long trip and I'm not carrying a load, I might put it down, all the way down. Well, so thanks for making it to the very end. I'm going to start this video with an introduction of the already installed, well, you've already seen that part, obviously, but that's not the way I'm recording it, so that you can see what it looks like with the truck all pinned up and how the roller cover works and clears it and everything. So thanks for watching all the way to the end, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you, and hit that like, subscribe button. I always appreciate that, building the channel. Thanks, bye.